Now you're off again. Now I can't see you again.
Oh
Okay.
no,
Well,
really?
yeah, it's so strange. Maybe you should
Oh,
do what you did before once again.
okay, let me try that again. Okay, so for those of you out there, I know that we're live right now. Our special guest is not able to see me, so we're going to try one more time to go in and out of this program. So just if we could have your patience for just a few moments. Any better?
Okay, seeing you again.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to GPJFF in Conversation. It is such an honor to speak with you about your film, Ruthy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
And
for inviting me.
oh, it's totally our pleasure. And also, thank you for, it's pretty late in Israel, so thank you for staying up to do this.
Yeah.
So, Asia is one of my favorite films in this season's lineup, so I do have to warn you, I might be fangirling it out a bit throughout this entire conversation, and probably just throwing in a few of the reasons why I loved your film so much, so I hope you don't mind. But before we get there, I'm sure that our audience would love to know just a bit of background about who you are as a filmmaker, so I'll let them know that. So Ruthy graduated with honors from the Sam Spiegel Film School in 2012, and during her study, she received a scholarship from the America Israel Cultural Foundation for Promising Director. Her short films, Last Calls and The Caregiver, have both been screened at many international film festivals and have garnered numerous awards. Alongside her work as a film director, Ruthy works as a video editor on both fiction and documentary films. And her first feature film, Asia, which you've all seen, I hope, was accepted into Cannes' prestigious festival residency program. And I believe that they helped you develop the film as well.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So when you were asked to describe your interests as a filmmaker, you remarked, and this is in your director's bio, that you like to focus on delicate moments of human emotions and interactions. So for those of
Mhm.
you who have seen the film, I'm sure that you would agree there are so many moments in the film that are exactly that, these delicate moments of human emotion and interaction. And we're going to unpack those throughout this conversation, I believe. So, Ruthy, your film is truly an exquisite character study of a mother and daughter who, for a very long time, though they've shared a physical home with one another, they've been emotionally distant or estranged. This is the Vika and Asya that we meet in the beginning of the film, but as their
Mhm.
story progresses, we watch this mother and daughter begin to connect and discover a very powerful and beautiful love. Can you talk about your inspiration for this story and the very unique mother and daughter relationship that we see transform on screen?
Mhm. Well, as I start, wait a minute, I'm hearing myself a little bit with an echo. I'll try to ignore it, but if you can, just lower your volume down.
Matt, if you're listening, you might want to just turn off her microphone on and off to stop that.
Anyway, yeah, I think now it's better. So Asia is in a way based on my experiences after losing someone that was very close to me. And I was looking for a way to deal with that. And when I wrote the film, when I wrote the script, when I initially had the idea and started writing it, I was writing it in a way from the perspective of a daughter because I wasn't a mother yet. And but of course I was basing it on how I saw my mother as her daughter. And as the writing progressed and we went on to shoot, I actually became a mother before we started shooting the film. When we shot the film, my baby boy was 10 months old. So many things changed for me once I became a mother. And it shifted also the way I saw the script. And I think you can see in the film that in a way there are these two characters and there are two ways to see the film, and one is through Dika's eyes and the other is through Asia's, and these are two parts of me. One is the daughter and the other is the mother, And from the very beginning, when I wasn't a mother yet, it was the mother I thought I would be, in a strange way. And I was looking to examine how a woman becomes this sort of mother that we all perceive as the nurturing, giving mother that we all want to be or we want for ourselves as we grow up. And I wonder if this is something that just happens to you when you become a mother. And I felt that it was not that you need to work on it, that you need to find your voice as a mother. So this is these are the things that I took with me when I went on the journey with this film.
Wow. Yeah, I'm personally not a mother, but I find myself, very much just imagining what I would be like as a mother. And, as I watch my friends who do have children, as they grow and their kids grow, just watching them change and sort of like acquire this new confidence in themselves as parents. And it's very interesting. I think, do you believe watching the film now as a mother, and I'm not sure how old your child is, but how old is he now?
Now he's almost 3.
Okay, almost 3.
Yeah.
Are there certain things that you look back when you're watching it now and, you sort of think, now that I've had this experience, I might change this or that?
Not like a scene wise, but it
Right.
is very difficult when you once you're a mother, it's very difficult to see a child in pain. This is something that is, and it has been the same when I shot the film and now. I mean, this sort of thing is different. I think when you become a mother, that it's impossible to watch children suffer. At least for me, I don't know. And before I was okay with that. I mean, I would be able to watch films that had difficult subject materials, even when it had to do with children. I was fine with that. It wasn't easy, but something I could deal with. And I found during motherhood that this completely changed. I was maybe it will change back. I don't know. But looking at a film where a child suffers is just like it does this.
I know
So
it's
so in that way, when I directed scenes that were very difficult with Shia and Alena, the actresses, it was difficult for me to watch them. Just, I mean, it was very difficult, and I think in a way, I tried not to exaggerate the pain too much, so the film would be bearable to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the ending is pretty heart wrenching. No matter no matter how much you try not to, you know, let it affect you, it certainly does. And I think that's based on your direction as well as those powerful performances by Shira and the actress Alena Yiv. Am I saying that right? Who plays the
Alona, but I'm
Alona
not
Yiv.
saying it right, but it's like Alona, or it's yeah,
Alona.
it's
Okay. So my next question is, you've created this film about two sensitive, independently minded, headstrong women with an
Mhm.
almost entirely female crew. How did
Right.
working with mostly women on this female-centric story feel differently to you than your past projects, either those under your direction or the productions you worked
Mhm.
on as an editor?
Well, it's I can't say enough good words about working with women. For me, it's been an incredible experience, and every woman I've worked with, I never regretted it because I think women are incredible partners to work with. It's for me, it's so much easier. I guess part of it is me being a woman, but also um, I've been getting as a filmmaker and as a woman my whole life. I've been getting so many sexist remarks wherever you go. I can give you quite a few examples of things that were told to me as a female director, and having uh, so many female crew members on set just decreased these moments of it just it hardly ever happened. And people in Israel, I believe it happens in many places, but in Israel, it's very common that people feel free to say what they want when they want, and they don't hold back. And when you have more women, they somehow hold back
Ah.
more, and they don't come up and tell you whatever they think at the moment. Like I don't know, the lighting technician won't come up to me and tell me, "Hey, maybe you should tell your actresses to do something different." I mean, Israel, it's very, very common, but I think seriously, women do it less. So I just felt very secure. And this is a film about women and told from a women's perspective, and it just enriched the film to have so many incredible women around me.
Yeah, well, I'm really thrilled for you that you were able to do this with an all-female crew. I mean, I think you had a few men, but they had more of the smaller
Yeah,
roles. Yeah.
yeah, they're definitely a minority.
Yeah. So your casting, the
Mhm.
performances, as I said, were just phenomenal and just perfectly understated. So Vika is playing a 17-year-old rebellious teen, and Asia a nurse and single mother. Can you talk about directing these two women in the film, how you created the intimacy between them, and did
Mhm.
your directing style change as you got further along in the production?
I think, I mean, for me, when I work with actors, with actresses, what I do is I get to know them. So with both Alona and Shira, we just sat together and we got to know each other. We talked about a lot of things, not only about the script, but about their lives and just the things that shaped them into who they are today. And when I got to know them, I would also change things in the script that would fit them better, that would work better for them. And we did a lot of rehearsals separately, and but with both of them also. What I try to do during these rehearsals is not to get them too attached to one another, so they would keep some amount of distance. And only once we started shooting, they could be really together for a long time, and then form this bond, which you could see the chemistry between them right away. But I knew it would be even more intense once they actually spent a lot of time together. So that was the way we worked. I don't think it changed during shooting. Just it changed in the way that I we got to know each other better, and I didn't need to say a lot for them to change things that I thought that should be changed. But I have to say, almost everything uh, was scripted, and we knew exactly what we were going to do before shooting, and they just brought it into the shooting, and they were wonderful.
And when they both read the script, were their first reactions like, were they blown away by the story?
uh, yeah, yeah, they loved it. They both loved it, and I'm very lucky to have found them because they're both extremely talented, and they look so much alike that you can really think they're mother and daughter or sisters. And it was something that was very important to me when we were searching for actresses, because you always, when you see a film and you have a mother and daughter and they don't really look alike, and you have to sort of have this leap of faith and trust that, okay, this is a film and I'm watching a film, and for now this is a mother and daughter. And I didn't want the viewers to have to go through that. I wanted them to really feel like they're watching a real mother and daughter. And I think we just were extremely lucky to find them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Was it a chat? Like, were there any challenges in getting them though? Like, were they your first choice and everything went well from the beginning, or how did the process go to get them?
Uh, yeah, they were my first choices. I mean, we auditioned a lot for both roles, and we were looking for the perfect match. But once we saw them together, it was you could not deny the chemistry and the way they look and um, their talent. So it was very clear from the first moment we saw them together that this is it. And
Yeah.
from there on, we just started working.
So I want to piggyback off what you just said in terms of you scripted everything beforehand and then they just brought it to the set. I
Yeah.
want to know more about the writing process. So the first exchange in your film between Vika and Asya takes place in the kitchen. Vika says, "I need money." Asya replies, "What else is new?" Vika responds, "You got back late." Asya simply says, "Night shift." The scene is one of many minimal, sparse, and economically written exchanges in the film. Can you talk about
Right.
that writing style, the fact that so much of their character is built on what is not said, and what is said is sometimes very minimal, especially with what Vika says a lot less than what Asya gets to say in the film.
Right. Right. I don't know where I got it from. I mean, I do know that I never write. The way I write is like I write very, very little and then expand. So it's not like I write tons and tons of pages and then I have to sort of find the story inside. But it's just that the story is like a flower and it has to open up. And every scene is like that. So every word of dialogue has there's a reason for it to be there, and this is just part of the way I write, and I guess it's just part of the way I uh, create the characters, because both of them are like that. And I can say, okay, there are characters that are not like that in film. Stas, the doctor that Ase has an affair with, he's like a very talkative man, and he talks a lot more than her. But also, every piece of dialogue is very well thought of, and it's something that that's just the way I write, I guess.
Yeah, I have because I took notes on just lines that I loved. And, the exchange between her and the older gentleman that she takes care of in the hospital, when
Hmm.
he's asking her if she's staying on to be with him during the next shift, and he says, and she says, "I'll try to be," or "I'll try to," and then he says, "Try to be." I think she said "try to be," and then he said "try to be." Just like the way like people interact with each other, it's just there's no pretension or showiness. It's the way people really, speak in these situations. And that is
Yeah,
really difficult to accomplish, screenwriting for your first feature, like just getting that so, it, it's just hard. Like I tend to overwrite. I tend to like try to make up for my insecurities with writing more, and just to have that discipline and confidence in yourself to write less and like know your actors are going to create what they need to create to express what you want. Like that's really amazing. So I think this movie handles it just beautifully. So
thank you.
all right, let's see. Even my husband, I watched it with him last night on his birthday. He's like, "I can't believe I'm watching this film about, on my birthday." And he just noticed the writing too. He was very surprised that this was a first film. Okay, let me just get back to where I was. All right, so the first time we see Vika smile at her mother is during their trip to the Dead Sea. They walk into
Hmm.
a dance club and Asya orders them each a drink. Vika's is non-alcoholic, of course, and as Asya is listening to the music, her head is, bobbing back and forth, and Vika is amused by her mom's goofiness and teases her a little bit by playfully mimicking her. So I love this scene so much, and I kind of feel that it's a turning point in their relationship. Can you talk
Right.
about turning points throughout this film?
Hmm. Well, in a way, it's a very difficult. It was a very difficult script to write. I mean, I've been writing a bunch of scripts after that and during writing Us, and this was my first one. But it was a difficult task because this film is not very conventional in the way that the plot sort of unwinds. There's not a lot of plot in it. It's more like an emotional journey that they go through, and it's really subtle. So when I tried many times to talk about the film with people before it was made and before the script was actually written out, it was very difficult to explain. Okay, so what's happening in the film? So yes, going to the Dead Sea is definitely one of the turning points because this is the first time that Asya, as a mother, realizes she needs to do something actively for her daughter. And she doesn't really know what, and she doesn't know how, but she's doing it. And I think that's why Vika is also reacting to it because it's the first time she feels her mother is making an effort. And I think in a way, the journey that I take the characters into is exactly that. Asya searches how to be that mother that her daughter needs, and she does it over and over and over. Sometimes it's very misguided, but eventually she understands what she needs to do and how she needs to do it. And this is where she reaches in the end. And I think for Vika, in a way, it's the same because she's looking for her mother's reassurance. She's looking for her presence, but she doesn't realize it till it's almost too late. And then when she needs her, she doesn't know how to say what she needs, and she needs to learn to say that. And she learns how to do that as well. So it's like two characters that sort of meet up at the most extreme situations that you can imagine.
Yeah, and from Asia's perspective, I felt that you showed her caring for all these other people in the film, like the
Mm-hmm.
neighbor who I think she has Alzheimer's. Is that true?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and then the guy that she's sleeping with who's married, and how she reaches out and actually calls him, to show that she really does care about him, and she wants to be able to express like needing someone and wanting to talk to him. And then
Mm-hmm.
also, the man we mentioned that she cares for in the hospital. It
Right.
seems like Asya has a much easier time expressing her love through the act of caretaking. And so when she receives this dire diagnosis that Vika's condition is worsening and the degenerative disease is taking over, no, like
Mm-hmm.
this is obviously horrible, horrible news, but in a way, unconsciously, for her, it's something more that she understands, like how to be the caretaker role and showing like love, expressing love through the act of caretaking. So I wanted to know about this character trait in Asia and what it was like for Vika on the receiving end, how that changed her.
I think that she's definitely a care giver in many ways, but I wanted her to be. It was for her to be able to give out this love and affection to so many people. But with her daughter, she's even. It's hard for her to even touch her. And when you see her caressing her hair, she's so restrained with the way she touches and the way she acts with Vika. And part of it is because she's scared to death of her daughter dying. So she's unable to get close to her because she's so afraid of what's going to happen. And being a caregiver for someone else that you don't need to go through that with them, it's much easier for her. And I think Vika, she senses that, and she doesn't want Asa to be her caregiver like she would be if she was a nurse in the hospital where Vika was. She wants something else for her. She wants her to be there for her and just listen to her and not do something. That's what she learns in the end. That she doesn't need to do anything in order to be there for her daughter. She just needs to be there.
Yeah, some of the scenes, just when Vika said about, I remember, I have this memory of me wanting to wear your earrings, but you got mad at me about that. And then she
Hmm.
like gives her the earrings to wear, and you see her wearing the earrings the last scene.
Yeah.
Like that broke my heart. Like just seeing the earrings there in that scene. But just, yeah, just these little exchanges to know that you're very special to this person, to
Hmm.
know that you're accepted and loved. And I just love that by the end of the movie that they found that love together and both grew. But it's also just so tragic that they found the love and now it's cut short, you know. I wanted to, sorry.
But maybe, yeah, I mean, you're right, but maybe sometimes the reason that you find this love is because it's threatened by other circumstances. I mean, they would not have been like that if not for the disease, if not for this situation. So in a way, for me, the ending scene is not tragic, but it's uplifting because even in this horrible situation that they're both in, um, it gives them so much meaning and so much. I mean, the love between them is so great that it's for me. I try to make this moment a transcending moment and not like a very dark and heavy moment. I mean, of course, it's you see death and it's not going to be easy and fun, but it is very meaningful. And I think a lot of people die meaningless deaths in the way that they are not expressing themselves and, and they're not being themselves by the end of their lives, and they don't get to be next to the people they love. They generally lie in a hospital bed with people that they don't know around them. So it's a gift.
It is. Yeah, I mean, my best friend in the whole world was my grandmom. We were very, very close, and I was teaching a artist workshop the day she died, so I was far away from her. And when the hospital called to tell me that she had died, knowing that I wasn't there in that moment it killed me because it's sad enough to lose your best friend, but not being able to be with that person in that moment just was probably even more harder to take. So the fact that Asia was able to be there and hold her daughter and make sure that she wasn't in pain was very
Mm-hmm.
hopeful and beautiful for both of them. And I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So before
Wait a
we,
minute, I lost you again.
oh no,
Yeah.
you lost picture or
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. No, I hear you perfectly, but I can't see you.
Okay, hold on one second. Um, is that better?
Not yet.
No. All right, I don't know. I guess just listen.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so this is my personal last question before we
Mm-hmm.
open it up to the audience. So, as much as the movie is about Asia and Vika, you allow Gabby to enter into this sort of intimate environment between this mother and daughter. And
Mm-hmm.
after a while, Asia opens up to Gabby and reveals how much it would mean to her daughter to experience love, with a man, lose her virginity. And she kind of puts this idea into his head that maybe he could be Vika's first.
Mm-hmm.
So this, of course, when it plays out, it backfires, and Gabby eventually, feels really weird about it and stops coming around. So can you talk about Gabby's character as a supporting character, and how did you ensure that he would be, multidimensional and as real as Asia and Vika were?
Wow, he was a very difficult character to cast, I have to say, because he had to be very specific. Um, I wanted him to be someone that would have like a common interest with Vika, that they would bond together, that they could be like best friends, but also that there would be a sexual tension in a way. But then again, I wanted that tension not to be like in a sleazy way or where you could feel like he might be taking advantage of her or anything or something like that. So it was very tricky because I was looking for this um, young man that is all heart, and it was it was really very very difficult. It was one of the most difficult tasks we had in the casting, and with Tamir, the actor that played Gabi, once he came into the into the audition room, it was very obvious that he was very similar to what we were looking for. And I remember, I don't know if you remember that in the film, but yeah, he had this huge tattoo on his arm of a flower, and
Mm-hmm.
then I asked him, well, what's the tattoo? And he said, why do you have that tattoo? And he said, I love flowers. And I fell in love with this with this guy with this actor, and I had to fit this sentence into the script, and so this is how he came to be, how Samir became Gabi in the film,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a very he's he hasn't acted much before. He only did a very small part in a TV series, and it was his first big role in a film, and I think he did extremely well. And I see a great future for him, hopefully.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he nailed that character, and just even in the simple ways that he made the bed, in the hospital,
Right.
he really, like, you could tell he was a man that loved flowers, and he was like the
Yeah.
perfect guy to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And to find a man that loves flowers but is not like very he's still like a man,
yeah.
he's very like connected to his to that side of his personality. It's not it's really it was very difficult to
Yeah.
find.
Well, you did a wonderful job. And also, just another person, aside from the editing, also just being very tight and economical and, very strong. I think that your director of photography made some very
Hmm.
interesting choices. There were
Yeah.
some scenes that were beautiful, like when you see the sort of the magic hour, like out the window, and you see all the lights. What neighborhood did they live in the film?
And they live in Jerusalem,
Okay, in
well in
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. Yeah.
Yeah, so the light was just gorgeous. And so you see the outside, and then you see sort of like part of their bedroom, and you hear what's happening, but you don't see what's happening. And
Hmm.
I love that. And actually,
Yeah.
I do have a question very, very quickly before I open it up. Just when you do that kind of thing where you show just like sort of these two spaces, and none of them are the space where the actors are actually, playing out the
Hmm.
action,
Yeah.
why make those choices? Because aesthetically they're gorgeous, but how do they also serve the characters, like their internal, psyche or emotion?
Well, with that scene that you're talking about, um, it was written out that way. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was never, we never shot the actual scene. It was always like that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know exactly how it was going to look because we needed the exact location, but I knew we weren't going to see us attending to Vika because at that point she's still searching for that voice's mother. And I didn't want um, to see how she does it. We just want to hear the way she talks with her. And when in a way, this scene is interacting with the last scene because then you see her and it's so intimate and close and so different from that scene that is like shot in an extreme long shot and very distant from the characters. When you see her again helping her with her breathing problems, she's so close to her, and the camera is so close to both of them. So it's just a way to sort of show through the cinematography the transition that the characters went
Oh, thank you very much. So
through.
we have some audience questions I'd like to share with you. So the
Yeah,
first one is Shira Haas has obviously become much more internationally known since her
right,
Emmy-nominated performance in Unorthodox. Were
right.
you were you aware of her work before hiring her, and what was it like working with her, personally, like as a person?
Um, I knew her from before because she's a kind of a well-known actress in Israel because she's done quite a few TV series and films, and she's very young. So there are not a lot of actresses her age that had this sort of resume. So I didn't know her from the beginning, and she was a runner-up for the role from early on. Um, and her success, I mean, she's so talented, so it wasn't surprising, but we had no idea it would be like this huge hit because she went to shoot Unorthodox, I think a few months after we finished shooting Asya. So I was very happy to hear that she's going to be the lead character in a new TV series. It was a great opportunity for her, and I have to say that she's wonderful to work with, and we're still friends, and we're still talking to one another, and she's a part of my life, and she's a wonderful person. I don't know what else to say, and it's just she's a gift for a director because it's so easy to work with her. You tell her one word, and she just brings so much into the role and into what she does, and she's able to be very versatile with scenes and change them in a way that is I haven't seen a lot of actresses pulling this off.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we have another question. There are obviously such deep, intense moments between the mother and daughter in the film. What was it like filming those moments? I'm not an actor, so I can't even imagine how deep actors need to get to prepare for these scenes.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was part of the challenges of making this film, and this is part of why I chose a female crew. It's the same thing. It's this kind of gentleness that there is in a set where you have women when you're surrounded by women. And when we had very intimate and very difficult scenes, we would just ask everyone to walk out of the room and stay as far as away as they could, and it was only me and the actresses and Daniela, the cinematographer, and we would just let them have a moment before starting to shoot. And at some of the scenes, we would just sort of let them do it freestyle, not stop them. As you do in filmmaking, where you have this action and cut, and sometimes we would just let them do the whole scene and just change the camera positions, especially in the ending scene where we knew we were going to shoot it from one direction, so they could just be inside the scene and not be all the time stopped by us. And it happened in other scenes as well. In scenes that were very difficult, we would try to keep our interventions to the minimum so they can really sink into their characters and not be upset by us, by the camera and the people around them.
Yeah. Well, I think they're very lucky to have you as their director. So our next question is, what's the future of this film look like? Is it getting an expanded release?
Um, well, in Israel, it's been bought for distribution, and it's supposed to come out, and also in the U.S. and in Australia and Spain and recently in the U.K. I don't know exactly when and how. I suppose some of it would be on VOD or some sort of streaming. But it's just so difficult to say at the moment because in Israel, for instance, the cinemas have not opened up since March. So we've been having no cinema. And I mean, I don't know anything. I have no idea. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm actually, I have to say that right now, at this moment, I am restrained to my home because my kid, um, his um, his sort of like he was in touch with someone who had COVID, and now we're all at at home because his kindergarten had someone that had COVID and was in touch with him. So I'm now having to be like 12 days completely in house. So I'm saying I I could not imagine this would happen yesterday. So I have no idea what's going to happen in 1 month, 2 months, or 6 months. it's just impossible to anticipate.
Yeah, I hope that some of the really great films that had to come out, VOD or just, have gone through their festival circuits, I hope that once COVID is under control, that we can bring some of these films and show them, in the theater on the big screen. I think that would be really nice, because there are certain films that are really, you should see them with an audience and you should see them on the
Yeah.
big screen.
Yeah, and it's a completely different experience. I mean, I haven't had a lot of opportunities to see Asia on the big screen. We had a few screenings here for Academy viewers for the Israeli Academy Awards, and it was great to see the film on a big screen. It was completely different. And for me, it was wonderful because it was the first time that I could see audience and how they react live to the film, and hear the silence or hear the grasping of the air. It was just it's completely different than when you don't really know. People can tell you things, but you don't experience the film with them.
Yeah, it's also the same running a virtual film festival, because sometimes we'll get
Yeah.
emails of someone who loved a film, but the rest of the time you're like, did people like it? I don't know. you know. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
would imagine.
yeah. So we have another question. During filming, did you have to change anything about the script or scenes? Was there any moments where the actors did something not written and you said, let's keep it?
Uh, not anything that comes to mind, but there must have been like some things. Yeah. Yeah. There were things that we tried um, di- different things, and or things that were scripted, or things that we even rehearsed, and they didn't work so well as we thought, and we had to change while we worked. But it was nothing big. Like it wasn't these changes that I would say, "Oh wow, this completely changed the film." No, it was like small moments that we changed.
And our last question is, what would you say was the most challenging part of making this film?
Hmm. It's such a long journey to make a film. Um, I was thinking about it that I started writing this film in 2013, so it's been 7 years since the initial idea started and till I got to the actual shooting, and then from the shooting to um, finalizing the film and getting it released. And having to think of one moment, I'm not sure, but the whole experience of making a film is you really need to love what you're doing and to believe that what you want to say and what you want to tell is going to touch people. And I think this is what kept me going, because I felt like this is a story that should be told, and I hope other people feel that as well.
Oh, well, I think our audience would agree that this was a story that should be told, and we're so glad we got to tell it at our film festival. So, thank you so much for sharing this film with Philadelphia, and
Thank
I'm
you.
sure that our audience will help spread the word to their friends and family, colleagues, that this is the film to see at the festival. So, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All
Have a
right.
good day. For
And
me, it's
please,
good night.
yeah, for you a good night, and definitely keep us abreast of when you're going to do your next project, because we want to see it. We want to see what you do next.
Great. Working on it.
Okay. All right. Take care. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.